What's up, everybody? Mr. Cozad back with another video lesson. Today's topic is a good one, solving rational equations, okay? If you are my student, this is 8.6, part 1 of a 2-part series. Let's get after it. Before we get any further, man, I got to tell you a few things. Number one, today is a great day to be alive, y'all. I don't know where you are, what you're doing, but hear me say that to you. Today's a great day to be alive. Number two, all you need to make this video successful is you need something to write with, and you need something to write on, and you need some space where you can work. Okay, that's all that you need. I go pretty quick through some of these videos, so please feel free to pause, rewind, fast forward, skip ahead, go back. Whatever you need to do to make this video work for you is what you need to do. So no further ado, here we go. Let's get after it. So 8.6 part 1, solving rational equations. There are basically 3 steps that I've kind of narrowed this down to solving any rational equation. Step number 1 is get one fraction equals one fraction. That means, y'all, we're going to have to find some common denominators, okay? Step 2 is you're going to cross multiply and solve for x, or just cancel the denominators and solve for x. Sometimes the denominators on both sides of the equal sign will be the same, and you can just cancel those out, okay? And number 3, check for extraneous solutions. That means plug into the original equation, and you're looking for strange things that happen, okay? So here we go. Let's jump right in. All right, example 1. 12 over x plus 3/4 equals 3 over 2. Simple enough, okay? Step 1 is to get one fraction equals one fraction. So I'm going to need to take these 2 fractions on the left and find a common denominator. The common denominator here is going to be 4x, okay? So I have to multiply the 12 by 4 and the x by 4 to get 12 times 4 over 4x, plus 3x over 4x. Multiply the top and the bottom by x. Now, you can leave the right-hand fraction alone. You don't have to do anything with it. Okay, so clean up the left-hand side. 12 times 4 is 48. 48 plus 3x, we'll do 3x plus 48, all over 4x equals 3 over 2. Now what we're going to do is we're going to cross multiply. Okay, so remember when we cross multiply, we do top times bottom equals top times bottom. So when I do that, I get 2 times 3x plus 48 equals 3 times 4x. Distribute 6x plus 96 equals 12x. Subtract 6 on both sides, so we get 96 equals 6x. Divide both sides by 6, and you get x equals 16. X equals 16. Okay? Nothing funny there. Follow our steps. One fraction equals one fraction. You can then you should plug that back in for x back up here and just make sure that it works. You'll have a calculator to help you with some of the fraction operations if need be. That should go quickly, and you should see that x equals 16 works no problem, okay? Number 2, example number 2 is a little bit more interesting. Okay, we've got x over x minus 1 equals x over 2. Same first step as the last problem. Get one fraction equals one fraction. So we've got to work on the left-hand side. So here we go. Least common denominator is going to be x over 1. So the first fraction is already good. So that's going to be minus 1 times x minus 1 all over x minus 1 equals x over 2. Okay, so I've got, let's clean up the left-hand side. So x minus x is actually 0. Minus negative 1 turns into 1. So we have 1 over x minus 1 equals x over 2. So we're going to cross multiply. So we get x times x minus 1 equals 1 times 2. So we get x squared minus x equals 2. Hey, now, this is a quadratic that we get to solve. I didn't know we were going to have fun with quadratics in this lesson. Said you guys. I, Cozad, actually knew we were going to do that, but you probably didn't. So, man, you love this video even more than you did before. So it's a quadratic that is easy peasy lemon squeezy to factor. So we have x minus 2 times x plus 1 equals 0. Set each one of those factors equal to 0. You get x equals 2, and you get x equals negative 1. Okay, x equals 2 and x equals negative 1. You want to plug both of those in for x in the original and just make sure nothing strange happens there. You should check both of those, and they both work out just fine, but you should go back and do that, okay? And you get x equals 2 and x equals -1. So there's two solutions to this equation, okay? Number 3, oh, yes, sir. Okay, some of you probably just groaned when you saw this one, but this is fun. Okay, so here we go. 2x over x plus 5 minus, I'm not going to read it to you. You can read it yourself, okay? So the very first thing that I'm going to do here is let's factor this denominator, because we're going to need to figure out what the common denominator is here on the left, okay? So the first thing that I'm going to do is let's rewrite this. So 2x over x plus 5 minus x squared minus x minus 10. That actually can't factor, okay? So we'll just leave it as a trinomial. All over x plus 5 times x plus 3. And that equals 3 over x plus 3. Okay, now what you should see here as we find our least common denominator over here on the left is I've got an x plus 5 in both, but I also have this x plus 3. So what I'm going to need to do is I'm going to need to multiply the first fraction by an x plus 3 on the top and an x plus 3 on the bottom. If I do that, I then have a least common denominator. Okay, so next step is to clean up the left-hand side. So that means combine your like terms, okay? So I have 2x squared plus 6x minus x squared plus x plus 10. Cozad, you just messed up. It shouldn't be minus x and minus 10. No, it's not, you silly goose. I got to distribute the negative sign to each one of those, which makes them positive, okay? So then we have x plus 5 times x plus 3 in the denominator, and that equals 3 over x plus 3. Okay. All right, so if we clean up our numerator here, we get 2x squared minus x squared is just x squared plus 7x plus 10 is my numerator, all over, we're running out of room, x plus 5 times x plus 3 equals 3 over x plus 3. Okay. So then the next step here is going to be to cross multiply these, okay, to cross multiply these. So we've got 3 times x plus 5 times x plus 3 equals, uh-oh, I got a problem. Okay, hold tight. Nobody panic. I'm panicking. So let's slide that over here just a little bit so I can get a little bit more room here. Oh, that's not what I wanted. Sorry, everybody. All right, so that gives me not that much more room, but we'll make it work, okay? So then that's going to be x squared plus 7x plus 10 times, oh, you know what? I'm sorry. Here's what I'm going to do, okay? You know what? I didn't want to do this, but I'm going to do it, okay? I'm going to shrink it. Sorry, watch this. Resize, shrink that down. Go back and watch the video again if you are behind on that. So now let's move all of this over here. Now I feel a little bit better, okay? But now I got to change this to like this. Okay, ugly, but we're getting it done, okay? So that was, let's clean this up, 7x plus 10 times x plus 3. Okay, now the x plus 3's cancel. That is so convenient. It's going to make the multiplying that much easier for me. So then I have 3x plus 15 equals x squared plus 7x plus 10. Okay, so now what I want to do is I want to solve for x. Okay, so we've got actually x squared plus 7x plus 10. That factors, doesn't it? Okay, that factors. So let's do this. Let's do 3x plus 15 equals x plus 5 times x plus 2. Ooh, yes, sir. And that x plus 5 looks so familiar. That's what I had before I multiplied by 3, y'all. Let's go. So we get an x plus 5 that also cancels. Man, that's good, okay? So then we've got 3 equals x plus 2 left over. It's easy. Subtract 2 on both sides, and we've got x equals 1. X equals 1 as our solution. Man, that was good. That was a sneaky, y'all. That was a sneaky x plus 5 right there. Okay, that was a sneaky x plus 5. It almost got me, but man, we're with it today. So nice job on that. X equals 1, final answer. Okay. All right, so for your next problem, okay, 6 over x minus 1 equals 4 over x minus 2 plus 2 over x plus 1. So if we find our common denominator on the the right-hand side, it's going to be the product of x minus 2 times x plus 1. So I multiply in this first fraction the top and the bottom by x plus 1. And then I'm going to multiply the second fraction by x minus 2 on both the top and the bottom. Okay? So let's clean this up. So we get 6 over x minus 1 equals 4x plus 4 plus 2x minus 4 all over x minus 2 times x plus 1. Let's clean it up one more step. So we get 6 over x minus 1 equals 6x plus 4 minus 4 cancels all over x minus 2 times x plus 1. So then we're going to cross multiply this. So we get 6 times x minus 2 times x plus 1 equals 6x times x minus 1. Okay? So now let's do some work on cleaning this up. So that's going to be, actually the 6's are cancel. Okay, the 6's will cancel, which will make the multiplying a little bit easier for us. So that ends up giving me x squared minus x minus 2 equals x squared minus x. Well, wait a minute here. We've got a couple more things that cancel. X squared and x squared cancel. Minus x and minus x cancel. So negative 2 equals 0? What? That doesn't make any sense. Negative 2 does not equal 0. Therefore, whenever we get a scenario in algebra where you get a number that equals 0 that's not equal to 0, you say that there is no real solution. We say there's no real solution. We did not make a mistake there. This particular problem just has no real solution. There is no x value that we can use that makes this true. Okay? No real solution. Don't be surprised if that happens again when you get a number that equals 0 that's not supposed to equal 0. The conclusion that you make is no real solution. Think back to chapter 3 when we did systems of equations. Listen, guys, I just got one more to do with you here. Okay, this is example 5, and let's just get after it. Okay, so the left side of the equal sign is good. It's already one fraction on the left, so we need to get the right-hand side to be one fraction. Okay. Well, first of all, let's see if we can factor 4x squared minus 2. Yeah, so x squared minus 2x minus 3. That factors to x minus 3 times x plus 1. Okay, so I'm going to use that as my denominator. So that means I have to multiply 4 by x minus 3 times x plus 1 on the top and also on the bottom. And then I already have the x minus 3 times x plus 1. I already have that in the denominator of the second fraction. Okay, so now let's clean that up on the right side. So we get x plus 1 over x minus 3 equals, okay, so we've got 4x squared minus 8x minus 12 minus 12 more all over x minus 3 times x plus 1. Okay, so now let's cross multiply this. So we have x minus 3 times 4x squared minus 8x minus 24 equals x plus 1 times x minus 3 times another x plus 1. The x minus 3 should be jumping out the page at you that you can cancel that. Okay, so here's what we've got now. We've got 4x squared minus 8x minus 24 equals, this is going to be x squared plus 2x plus 1. Now we get everything on one side of the equal sign. So we get 3x squared minus 10x minus 25 equals 0. And I have a creeping suspicion that this trinomial is going to be factorable. So pause the video now and you try to factor this using whatever method you use best. Okay? So what we end up getting here is this does in fact factor to 3x plus 5 times x minus 5 equals 0. Set each equal to 0, you get x equals negative 5/3, and you get x equals 5. Final answer. Ladies and gentlemen, that is solving rational equations. Again, the 3 steps. Get one fraction equals one fraction. Once you do that, you cross multiply and solve for x. And finally, plug your answers back into the original equation and check to make sure that nothing strange happens. And you are on your way. Come back and check out part 2 of 8.6 where we solve rational inequalities. It's a fun one. We'll see you then.